What's up, everybody? Hey, it is Mike Widmer with, the Expansion Real Estate Group here for your monthly market update. First things first today, I want to thank everybody who has referred somebody over. So if you are a first-time watcher of this, basically we're going to go over kind of what the market stats are. Not my thoughts, not my opinions. What are the actual stats of the real estate market here in Phoenix? So let's jump right in because I tend to talk a lot. Here we go. So first things first, we've been looking at this chart for a long time now, and the trend continues for sure. Good news though is it's slowing clearly. We are dropping by about 3 points a day up here, then about 2 points a day, down to just over today, we're about 1 point a day, but we did go all the way down at August 1st to 123.5. So remember, we started talking about this way up here at 449. So we have made a dramatic drop in the last 5 months. What do we look like today? Today, we're at 120.5. So that's what I was just saying. So today is the 5th. So in 5 days, we've only went down about 3 points. So we're actually averaging less than a point a day drop, which is a good thing because this has to slow down. Again, remember, when we're talking about this market, 100 on the board is a neutral market, okay? So we are definitely getting there. So the gap is 110 to 90 is a balanced market. Over 110 is a seller's market, and below 90 is a buyer's market. So looking at that real quick, I want to show you this page right here. This is incredible. If I could slide over. So going back over here, March 4th, 2021 was our peak in the market. You can see right here, March 21, we are at 511. So fast forward to August 4th, 2022, 16 months. Look at the difference in these numbers. So when we say the market's changed, the market's changed. Look at Gilbert, 701. Today, Gilbert, 90. Gilbert is 0.2% away from actually being a buyer's market. It really truly is because it's under 100, but officially it's 0.2 away. Chandler was at 654. They're down to 97. Look at Buckeye. Buckeye's at a 64. Queen Creek is at a 67. Maricopa, 79. So these three cities, if you're a buyer in these three cities, you have a distinct advantage over the sellers. You can make basically whatever offers you want to make. So just incredible how much those have changed over time. Looking at demand. So demand unfortunately keeps dropping. So we're down at 80.6 today. If we look at the chart here, we can see that again, that has been constantly falling. But a glimmer of hope, like I said last month, is rates dropped a little bit. Even though the Feds raised the rates again this month, 0.75 basis points, rates actually went down. Right now today, FHA, you're in the mid to low 4s. And for conventional, you're in the mid to low 5s, which again is about a half a point better than we were last month. So that actually really should help us slow this down in demand. Because if we get the rates back down and prices are coming down, we should have some more activity in the market. If we look at supply the other way, right? So we've been talking about how much has been going up. As of today, there's 18,209 active listings. We talked about I track single family homes. So single family homes today, there's 15,319. Back in March of 2020, like I just talked about, we were at 2,847. That's a 438% increase in 16 months. We're showing that right here. So that is a big, big change. So looking at this market here, so one other thing here, and this is what we talked about last month a little bit. So in June, for the first time in forever, we had a drop in sales price. It was a small percentage. It was 0.64%. So that was on the average sales price. So this chart here is the monthly average per square foot, but you can see the trend that we're having. But here is the big news. Right here. The average price across the greater Phoenix area, so Pinal, Maricopa counties as a whole, prices dropped 8%. That's a big number, right? We talked about last month they fell a quarter, 0.64, to go all the way up to 8% drop in July. Again, not great, but again, here's what I always keep saying. These numbers right here, these don't lie, right? These are lead measures. These are inventory, demand, days on market. We talked about this. These numbers are precursors to what happens to prices. So these have been dropping for 5 straight months. It was inevitable that the prices followed suit. So a couple other things I want to show you guys here. Actually, I'm going to not show you anything. I'm going to close this down. One thing I really want to talk about today that really nobody else is talking about is the F word, foreclosure. So calm down. I don't think there's a big foreclosure crisis coming. But here's the thing. Here's the facts. In July, there was 238 pre-foreclosure notices. So that means once you go 90 days late on your mortgage, the bank can file a pre-foreclosure notice, which means they're going to foreclose in 90 days. Okay? So in July, 238 total in Maricopa County. Since this Monday, today's Friday, there's been 79. So in 1 week, not even a full week, really 4 days, there's been 79 pre-foreclosure notices. So here's what I want to talk about it. We've been through this, right? I've been through it personally. In 2007, I had a bunch of homes, a bunch of land, a bunch of equity, and I couldn't pay my bills. I was struggling to maintain those mortgages as the market shifted, and I sat quiet for a long time. And most of you guys know this because you know me. I ended up losing everything. I lost it all. And I lost, I did short sales, I did foreclosures, I had to go through bankruptcy. I've been through this before. And my biggest regret is I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. So as this starts to happen, because again, the facts say it's already happening. People are running out of money, okay? Not because they were irresponsible, just because rates were at 2.5%, for a long time, or 3%, they didn't buy conservatively. They still went to the top of their price point, right? Which everybody does. Now you add on the cost of food, the cost of gas, and everything, and the Fed's raising the rate. So here's a number. We're about to surpass $16 trillion in consumer debt. $16 trillion. And when the Fed raises those Fed rates, that's what that hits, right? That hits credit cards. That changes auto loans. If you have to buy a new car. All those things are taking money out of our pocket, right? And again, then it just comes down to math. If we have a budget we're used to paying here, and again, unfortunately, most people are, paycheck to paycheck, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months, maybe of some, savings. If we had to add on $1,000 or $2,000 in cost to eat, to fuel our car, to pay our credit card balances, it's only a matter of time before we actually can't pay that mortgage. And that's what's happening. So I'm here to ask you. I'm not saying you're in trouble, saying I'm in trouble, nothing like that, but there are people in trouble. And this is a talking point. So if you hear of somebody that's in trouble, have them talk to me. I'd love to be me, but just make sure they talk to somebody, because here's what I know. In 2007, when this happened the first time, the banks had no idea what they were doing. It was a mess, a shit show, totally a shit show the first time. But here's the thing. They took months and months and sometimes years to foreclose on people. Why? 1, because they're disorganized. 2, because every house was underwater. There was no rush for them to do that. Fast forward 15 years, the banks have now been through millions and millions and millions of foreclosures. They have that process down. They know exactly what they're doing. They have their departments, they know the standards, they know how it works. But here's the big difference. Now everybody has equity. They're not upside down. They have equity in their homes. So if you think for 1 second that bank is going to give you 1 extra day in that house before they snatch that away from you, they're not going to, right? They're prepared. They know we have equity. It's coming. It's coming. If you go to pre-foreclosure and they file that sheriff's sale date, they're going to come get that house. So what do we know we need to do? If you're in trouble, if you know somebody's in trouble, please reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. I'd love to talk about their options. Not just selling their house. There's all sorts of options. Potential refis. There's ways out, right? Sometimes you got to think outside the box, right? Sometimes it's a temporary thing. But yes, if you don't talk to anybody and you stay silent because you're embarrassed or you just don't, you just don't feel like seeing anything, you're really going to put yourself in a world of hurt. So again, thank you guys so much. The market is been crazy. We're still heading downwards, but the good news is that downward drop is slowing. If rates can come down a little bit, get a little bit more activity for buyers, hopefully we can start to balance out. Again, I don't predict the future. I don't know, but I do know we dropped 8% in July, and we'll see what happens in August. But if you're in any trouble, if you know anybody in trouble, please reach out. Don't stay silent. All right. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next month.